day, but I'm slumming tonight. I'm on the sofa with my feet up.
That's the best way on a Friday
I
night.
look all right from the waist up, but I've got my slobs on, I've got my pajama bottoms on. Oh, here we go.
Hi everyone, and I'm delighted to introduce Helen Durrant, who's having to put up with me tonight instead of Sam. And I'm just going to hand over to her now to introduce herself. Helen.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming along and taking part. As Caroline said, I'm Helen Durrant, or Durrant, depending how you want to pronounce it.
Oh, sorry.
It's quite all right. I don't mind. I get all sorts. You should hear what they used to call me at school. All I wanted to do most of my early adult life was change my name to something simple. But now I use it. I thought, why not? If I had my life over again, I probably wouldn't change it when I got married. But there you go. Right. I started writing when I retired from my proper job, as I always say. And I haven't stopped really since. It's like it just gets in your blood. Once you start, hopefully if the ideas flow, there we have it. The first one, whoops, get it right, Helen, was this one. I wrote 3 in quick succession. Not sure how I did that, and I self-published them. Right, I started writing.
Go on, sorry.
Oh, right. They were moderately successful, nothing amazing. And then Joffrey Books took over. And after that, they did very well, I have to say. The title came from Joffrey Books. I didn't call it dead wrong. I think if I remember, I called it Handyman. Something to do with hands. Anyway. And I wrote the next one and then the third one, and then I thought, where do I go? Anyway, after that, once I was under the Joffrey Books umbrella, it did make life a lot easier, particularly with regards to following on from the first one, from the first 3, because I sort of had a series then, and people seemed to like them, so off we went.
Excellent. You got a comment on the stream from Shelley that says, "Hi, Mum."
Hello, dear. That's not fair. First one up, and it's my daughter.
I know. Well, we'll have to pass these on.
What does she want to ask?
She hasn't asked you a question. She just said, "Hi, Mum."
Well, hi, daughter. That'll do nicely. She doesn't live local to me, you see, so she probably thinks, what's my mother doing on the internet?
It'd be a nice treat for her. My dad gets bored of seeing me because he founded the group. So
Yes,
yes. We do a live thing.
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm going to ask you some of the questions we got before you went live.
Yeah.
So there was one from Claire Cooper.
Right.
She said, what, if anything, did your experience as a self-published author teach you that you brought into your relationship with the publisher you have now?
Well, what I took to the publisher was the 3 books I'd written. But I have to say, by the time the editor got hold of them and had done with them, and they were given a professional cover rather than something I concocted myself, and all the rest that goes with it, it was a totally different product to what I'd produced, believe me. I'm not saying that self-publishing isn't the way to go. I mean, I've learned a lot. The most important thing is that whatever you produce has to look and be professional. I don't think what I turned out back in, I think it was 2015, was. But then again, this was all in its infancy. I mean, digital books have grown tremendously since I first started. I mean, The World and His Wife was self-publishing back then, but today people still are, but it's quite a step. And I think people are a lot more savvy than I certainly was. So the biggest thing is it has to be professional. If I was doing it again, I'd certainly want to employ a really good editor, because I think that that one thing makes all the difference.
That's a really good tip. We got a message from Tony Flood, question from him.
Oh, yeah.
He said, what were the main advantages and disadvantages between being published and self-publishing? So you've touched on the editing and things, professional.
That is it, yeah. That and the professional cover and a certain amount of marketing. I always think that if you get something on social media from a publisher, it carries much more clout than if you put it there yourself. No, not that I don't, because I do. We're all encouraged to do some social media stuff ourselves, and I think, you know, I certainly do try on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and you know, anything else I can find really. The advantages of being self-published, well, control really. You know exactly how many books you're selling on a day-to-day basis. So you can, if you are going to do any heavy advertising, you can tweak it according to how good or bad sales are, etc. Not that our publisher doesn't tell us how many books we're selling, because he does. But usually it's on a 3-monthly sort of basis, you know. But if we ask, we'll get to know. Yeah. We just have to say, how's that one doing? And then we'll get a figure. So but I think on balance, I do prefer to be with the publisher than to be out there on my own, certainly. And of course, all the other Joffrey writers, authors, we're all fairly friendly. I've met an awful lot of them, and you know, close to some of them. We've become friends. We've met up more than once. And we can ask each other questions and bounce things off each other. And I find that very nice, very comforting to have somebody's ear to bend and all the stories. And I've just got that stage where I just can't think of what else is going in this book, you know, because we all reach it, that sort of brick wall with it anymore. Yeah. So I've forgotten what his question was.
I think you answered it. So, TD, who's one of our author members as well, she writes as TK Gearing, says, do any of your characters have your chatty, wacky sense of humour?
Oh gosh, thank you very much. Well, I try, because some of them can be quite dark, I do try to lighten it a little bit. You can't really have a chatty, wacky villain, because that wouldn't do. I haven't tried that one yet. So there are one or two dry. I always think my favourite hero at the moment, I'm not saying it won't change, is Caladine from the Caladine and Bailiff series. He's getting on, you know, but he can be a bit dry. But I've got a new one. This is just between ourselves. I've written a new, the first in a new series, what I'm hoping will be a new series. And he's quite, he's younger, so that makes him a bit different. He's got younger ideas, so he's a bit chatty and a bit lively and, you know, that kind of thing.
When would that be likely to be out, the first in the series?
I'm hoping not too long. We've done edit number 1. I think we're on edit number 2. Perhaps, I don't know, it's very difficult because I never know. I send these things in and they disappear into a big black hole for a bit and then they reappear. If we just say a month, you know, just as a nice round figure, you know, if it could be nearer, it could be longer. Depends what they come up with. Because, like I say, it goes through the edits and then it goes through structural edits and then there might be 1 or 2 queries, like 9 pages full or something. And we deal with them and then we go from there.
How much?
Sorry. No,
sorry, I was interrupted. How much of a say do you have in your titles and covers now? Do you choose them or?
Yes, we do discuss it. I usually come up with a title. But to be fair, I can agonise over the title of a book. I can think of a good title before I've even written the book. I've got vague ideas written down, you know, and I know what I'm going to call this one. But Usually it's a combined effort between myself and the publisher. Yeah. So I'm not sure about the next one. No, we're still working on it. I have put forward a suggestion. I have put forward a suggestion for the cover, but we'll see what transpires.
We've got another author member on here called Pat Adams Wright, who's left you a couple
Oh,
of questions.
yeah.
She says she's hoping to be there to watch, but just in case, what's your morning wake-up drink?
Oh, I like a cup of tea. My husband's tea. I don't make tea. I make myself the odd cup of coffee. But no, my husband makes all the tea, builder's tea, no sugar, and really strong. 2 of them, 2 mugs full of tea first thing in the morning, and then we'll start the day.
No, I'm a coffee girl all the way here. She says, do you have anything you swear keeps your mind active?
Lager. Wine. I don't know really. Ideas and the urge to write something come at different times. I find just if I lose the muse, so to speak, if I go off into the garden or something and do a bit of weeding, or I busy myself with something else, then things churn over in my mind. Sometimes I can wake up in the morning and think, got it now. Got it. Why didn't I see it before?
And she also wondered if you're a short burst or a long sweep writer.
Once I start on a project, I have to start and write it all, and it's varied. At the moment, I'm short bursts because I'm writing the second one in this new series that I'm doing, because I'm still excuse me, I'm still sort of I've just done the first one, so what I should do is have a couple of weeks off, but I can't do that. I've always got to have something on the go. So I do several short until suddenly we reach that magic moment when the characters sort of take over. And they really do. And they suddenly become alive in my head. And I think, oh yeah, right. And I can write and write and write after that. And then when I get near the end, I have got to get it finished. I could, write for days just to get the whole thing.
The other question that a lot of our members like to ask is, how much do you plot? Are you one of the people who plot a lot out in advance? Do you pants it completely?
Well, I would like to say I plot everything. I'm meticulous with my plotting, but I'm not, unfortunately. I'll have the main thread. There have been times in some of my books when I haven't really made my mind up who the villain is. You know how they say it's one of these, we don't know. All my books bar one, that the villain is a mystery till near the end. And so I have several options. I'm not entirely clueless. I do have several options. And then as we work our way through the book, for one way or another, one of them will say, oh, it has to be him because, whatever. I plot in part. And it's like I said, I like it when the characters take over and they suddenly show their personalities. I like that. I think, oh yeah, here we go. He knows what he wants to do.
One of the other questions I think is really interesting to ask authors that write a long series or write series is do you keep like a Bible of your characters so that you keep all their details accurate as you go through?
Database of characters and what they look like and who they're in. Yes, I know. That actually is supposed to be what my husband does for me. He's supposed to be my sort of person who does all this. He's in there washing up at the minute instead. Yeah, in part. But I have made 1 or 2 mistakes. Don't tell anyone. In 1 or 2. And occasionally, people will pick them up and say, how come such a body is suddenly called? So I usually have an answer to that. I'm about, in the next Caledine and Baylis book, I'm about to deal with something like that. Something that occurred in book 10 will be put right in book 11 in a very nice, sympathetic, oh, yes, of course way. I hope.
There's a message here from Joy Ellis.
Oh, lovely Joy. Yeah, I know Joy very well. We're very friendly.
Well, it starts, "Hello, my friend."
Hello.
And then she says, "As a well-known and well-loved crime author, do you have any fears about writing? Does anything scare or worry you when you move on to a new book?"
Yeah, of course it does. That I'll not know what the hell I'm doing suddenly, that I'll complete, because I started this suddenly. After I had no time to write when I was working full time. So all this came about suddenly. I thought, oh, God, sit down and write that book I've always wanted to write. So I wonder, will it all suddenly go just as quick as it came? And I won't be able to write another word. Will the readers like the next one? I mean, this new series, it's it's a shot in the dark. People might not like my new hero. They might like. I don't think everybody took to Rachel King, my only female heroine, whatever. So I think, oh God, will they like it? They might not. So there's all sorts of little things. I mean, it's very. I think putting a new book out there, whether it's one of a series or one of something new, is quite a nervy time for an author. We agonise over bits and pieces about it. Have I got that right? Is anyone going to pick me up on that?
Do you read your reviews?
Yes, sometimes. Yeah, reviewers are interested. I mean, some reviews. I mean, obviously, I prefer to get a good review rather than a bad review. I don't analyse them too closely. The ones I really hate are those one-star reviews. One-star reviews who couldn't download it. I think we've probably all had those wouldn't download. But you have to, because I think if someone's read your book and they've obviously tried to review it or had an attempt at reviewing it in a reasonable manner, then it's only fair to take account of what they're saying. That they bought it, they've read it, they leaving a review. I'm the same myself, although I will say this: if I read something I really didn't like, and I don't think I have ever left anybody a one-star review. I would, if I really hated something, I wouldn't say anything at all. I wouldn't say anything nice. I keep my gob shut.
And then the last of the questions before we went live, because there are some coming in on the stream now as well,
Right.
Charlie Gallagher, and he's asked you like a 3-part question.
Oh, bless him. Hi, Charlie.
He's quite a new member actually as well, so that's good.
Yes, we know him. He's one of Joffrey authors too. Yeah.
He says, "Are there any characters you no longer work with that you miss, and why?"
Yeah, I don't work. I've got one here actually. I wrote a 2-book. Whoops, it's Matt Brindle. Now, I wrote about him because I liked the name, and I only wrote 2 books because I wasn't very sure about him. He comes. There's him who's a detective and his mother who's Lady Something, and they live in a posh house in Huddersfield, well, just outside Huddersfield. And I did a couple about him and everything around him, and I quite enjoyed doing it because I live between Manchester and Huddersfield, so I go to both places. And the Huddersfield side of things, all the little Pennine villages, is lovely. But then after I'd done the second one, I don't know. I just didn't fancy doing any more about him. I'm not saying he won't come back. He might, but whether anyone will remember him or not is another matter. He had I can't remember what his oddity was. They're all a bit odd, you see. Apart from Celadine, who's just getting on a bit. His oddity was he had a bit of PTSD, I think. That was his. So I don't work with him. Now, I gave up working with Stephen Greco. I did 4 with him. He got OCD. Lines up his pencils and wipes down all his surfaces, a bit like we're all doing at the moment, really. But I brought him back again, and I brought him back again in the Caledine and Bailey's books because the areas they both worked in are close by, so I could do that. He got a bit of promotion, and now he's in charge of Leesworth Station, which is brilliant, except that the two don't get on. There we go. More to come on that. So yeah, I might get a bit fed up with them, and then I might bring them back and do a bit of something else with them.
He also says, what makes a good character for you?
Oh God, there's a million. Honestly, Charlie.
He's not finished yet.
I suppose the ability to keep the reader interested in him, for the reader to want to know more about that character. I think backstories with characters are very important because it gives them a bit of depth. Let the reader know what they look like, although that's not always important. It's a little bit of something about them so that, we get the picture. I tend to be quite heavy on the dialogue, so people get the idea about what they're like from what they're saying and how they're saying it, really. Yeah.
And he also asked, who do you like writing, the good guy or the bad guy?
Oh, well, I don't mind both, but the bad guys are really quite interesting because I have a different voice for them. I tend to be a bit sharp, sort of staccato. They don't get into much conversation. Well, actually, one did in the last book, because he was a bad guy masquerading as a good guy. So while he was being the good guy, you have to sort of mix and match, don't you? But if they're just purely the bad guy, then they're quite interesting. I quite like them.
TG's watching now because she also asks, where do you write and what's your routine?
Right, well,
we know you like a cup of builder's tea in the morning.
I do, yeah. I usually do a bit of writing in the morning, and then excuse me, and then I feel oh dear, I should really get on, other stuff, around the house stuff. If it's a nice day, there's the garden, I think, oh God, I should be doing that. I always feel guilty when sometimes, particularly during the day, that I'm not doing something else. There's shopping to do. I said I'd do this, I said I'd do that. But I do try and fit in a spell in the morning, a spell in the afternoon, but most of it I do in the evening, I have to say. I'll sit and I'll write for ages, and that is when I think I'm at my most, I do most of it, most creative, I think, and productive. Where do I write? You see these people sitting at wonderful desks with books behind them in shelves. There's not a thing on that wall behind me. I keep telling him I want picture rails so I can have my pictures up there. But he keeps saying it's a modern house. We don't want a picture. To do with it. Anyway, I sit on the sofa with my laptop on my lap. It's not very good for your back or your belly, I have to say. But there we go. It doesn't change the shape of your body. I've been doing it since 2015, and I'm thinking, dear.
Do you like noise or distraction while you work? Do you work?
I'm not bothered.
Not bothered.
To be honest, I'll quite often have the radio on or even the telly, providing it's the news. I'm not into frivolity while I'm writing, but I don't mind watching the news. That'll do me. A bit of news or a bit of music. Local radio. That's all I ever listen to is local radio, Greater Manchester Radio. There you are, there's the plug.
There's another question just come in that says, I'd love to know where my mum's vivid imagination comes from.
Oh yeah, which of my daughters has asked that?
Shelley.
Oh, yes, she is. Hi, Shells. yeah, anywhere, basically, anywhere. It might be something that suddenly occurs to me. It might be around something I've read in a newspaper or an online news something. Just a little snippet of something that I think, there's interesting, and build from there. And I tend to get ideas in flurries. So there can be nothing for weeks. And then suddenly there'll be a whole host of ideas and little scenarios will pop into my. In fact, I've been writing some down today so I don't forget them. Very forgetful in my old age. So that, I'm thinking, yeah, I think I'll do. So literally anywhere, it's amazing what the imagination. I'm sure, to a certain extent, when you write quite a lot, it's almost as if you train your imagination to come up to sort of look at things a little bit differently and sort of think, oh, wonder what would happen there. Yeah, all over the place, love.
Where do you get your character names from?
Oh, I love names. I love names. The first one was Calladine, Tom Calladine. It had to be Tom because that's short. And Calladine's a long name. Now, I don't know where the name came from. I played around with a lot of names before I fell on that one. It was all sorts of things. It always ended in D-I-N-E. Anyway, suddenly when I said that, when that rang in my head, I thought, that's him. And not only is it him, but with the name comes the image. I can see the character in my head. So great, I loved it. Now Greco was the same. I don't know where I got the name from, but the name came, and again I could sort of see him, and everybody else sort of builds up around the character, like Tom Calladine and Ruth Bayliss. Well, actually, Bayliss is. Oh dear, I don't know where that came from. Except there is a range of products called Bayliss and Harding. They do. You see them in the chemist at Christmas. That's been something that twigged in my head, and I thought, oh, that's a good name. But I love names. I think it comes of having a weird name myself. Because I'm into the other thing I do apart from write is family history. And, and in my latest one, I've used quite a lot of names from my own background, my own family history background. Their mother was Scottish, and my new hero is Scottish, even though he is trying to hide it. So I've used some of their names too, because when you've written as much as I have, and other writers will understand, you're very aware that names can become a problem after a while because you think, oh, well, I've used that one. I can't call him Caden again, or I can't call him whatever. So you have to sort of be constantly on the lookout for different names.
Do you ever meet someone and think, oh, I'm going to use your name?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think I've used quite a lot of names from people I've met, and I've certainly used a lot of family names. I've used my two daughters. I've used 4 of my grandchildren's names. I haven't used, I may have used even the little one's name, so I've probably used all 5 of them. Yeah, I haven't used my husband's name yet. I'm not quite sure what I'll do with him, but anyway, he might creep up somewhere.
It depends on whether he's made you tea or not.
Right, yeah.
TG says she's afraid she's not read any of your books yet. What would entice her into your world of books?
Oh, well, they're not a bad read. Even I've managed to read 1 or 2 of them. I mean, I don't have much choice because when I'm starting a new one in a series, I have to sort of at least skim through the one before. Otherwise, I'm likely to come a cropper. And I've got them all on my Kindle, for I do. And sometimes I read them and think, did you write that? I can't believe you actually wrote that out. You know.
Which one, if she had to pick one, would you recommend to her to start off?
Oh, I think I'd start with the. Depends what you like. If you like really dark stuff, because I will say that my very first two, they've disappeared now. God knows where they've gone. Dead Wrong and Dead Silent were quite vicious. They were quite, they were a bit dark, and then they got a bit lighter after that. Not too light. People are still getting killed in grotesque ways, but not quite as grotesque as in Dead Wrong and Dead Silent. So it depends what you like. And then gradually, as I got to know more about and understand more about the process, it brought other stuff in. So if it's relationship, if you like reading about relationships, then no, I don't mean soppy stuff. I just mean, people who, where is it? Tell you. Rachel King, Next Victim. There she is, striding out into the dark. She's got an interesting relationship, which is her bit of a secret because they've always got to have something about them. And her big sort of thing is she's been in love for all her life with a bit of a gangster. But she's a cop, so she can't. We can't go anywhere near him because he's a villain. But as the series goes on, he mellows slightly, and the police actually use him. He gives them some information and he becomes okay again. It's quite plausible that she can live with it. And she does. So there's, a family life. She's got two daughters. And so if it's relationships, start with that one. But if it's the sort of policey, procedural, dark stuff, then start with the Carradine and Bailey stuff.
Do you have any experts that you use for your police procedures?
Well, actually, I have asked Charlie Gallagher the odd question because he is a policeman. He's my expert. Are you still listening, Charlie? I do a lot of research. I've got some medical people in my family. And there is, I forget what it's called now, but there is at least one Facebook group where you can ask a tricky forensic question and get a reasonable answer. But the nitty-gritty of things like forensics, they're there, obviously, or it wouldn't be what the books wouldn't be what they are. But they're not done in any great depth. I mean, what I'm doing is entertainment, it's fiction, So to me, the story, the relationships between the characters is every bit as important. I do try very hard to get the facts right. But I don't know any policemen now.
Charlie says that your research is very detailed. Even he had to ask colleagues.
Oh. Bless him. I don't just love him. I asked him something quite recently, actually. So what you told me was right because I've used it.
Have you ever come across anything while you're researching that surprised you? That's one of my favourite questions.
Right. All sorts of things surprised me, really. I didn't know this, but I was surprised that identical twins have the same DNA. I should have known that, I suppose. Not that I've got identical twins, because I haven't, but I didn't have that. And that one fact alone, I read it somewhere, quite apart from what I was working on, and that one fact alone started a whole train of events, which has really ended up as my new series. And I thought, how can I use So I did ask Charlie's advice on that. In the Jaffe authors family, if you like, there are two people. There's Charlie, who's he's still a serving policeman, and there is one who's retired, who are quite happy to, have me bend their ear. And then there's another one, Michael Hambling, who I believe has worked with poisons, with chemistry things, all things chemistry wise. Which, so if it was anything like that, there are people I could ask. My daughter works in a medical practice, so I can always ask her about.
She's commented on here to say she's spoken to the doctors that she works with regarding what drugs could kill a person.
Yes, that's right, because we always want to kill people. Yes, that's right. It's interesting because poisoning was something, it's surprising what is actually poisonous, There are some beads you can buy in like crafty jewellery shops. You pick up a little bracelet on a piece of elastic, but the beads are actually deadly poisonous if you crush them and you're supposed to eat them. I don't know, I'm thinking, that's a bit much. What if you swallowed them? What if a kid got hold of them and swallowed them? But apparently you have to crush the coating. So there we have it.
Well, there's always some useful people in the group as well that are quite helpful. We've got some CSIs and...
Yes, I know. You just have to get over the fact that you feel rather foolish for asking. When you've got a bunch of books behind you, you're thinking, I wonder what I'm doing asking. They'll think I should know that. But no.
Charlie also wanted to know if you were to put yourself in one of your books, would you be a hero or a villain?
If I was in one, I would definitely be a hero. I'd have to be a hero. I'm not quite sure what I'd be. I couldn't be a villain because I can see the light shining on my spec. I don't like upsetting people, so I couldn't really. I mean, in my books, there are certain areas that I don't like. I don't like harm coming to kids, for example. So there's none of that in my books. So I would definitely be some sort of hero. I'm not saying I would be a police person, but I'd be something. I'd be on the good guy's side.
TG wondered if you ever fall in love with your villains.
With my villains, God no. Oh, there is one who's rather nice though. He was a villain, but he's not really the villain in. Well, he's not a villain. He's Rachel King's paramour, always has been since her teens, and he was a villain, but we'd never see him do anything villainous in the books. It's just his reputation, and he's got a record, of course, because of his past. But he's rather nice. He's rather sweet. He whisks her off to Malaga on a yacht to go to a wedding. She gets herself pregnant. I mean, fancy that. Oh dear.
So one of Sam's favourite questions to ask people is, what is your most memorable moments as an author?
There've been a couple. Realising that Joffrey Books actually wanted to publish my books in the first place. That came as quite a spectacular moment. And when I found out I'd actually sold 1 million copies on Kindle, I can't remember when that was. Was it last year, earlier this year? Whenever it was, that too was memorable. I think it was earlier this year. I knew it was getting close, and I kept misering, Yeah, there are lots. I never cease to be amazed at what happens, all the stuff that happens, And I've enjoyed very much meeting all the other authors. I think they're a lovely crew. That there's we meet up. We have been meeting up at Christmas. Whether or not it'll happen this year is very much in the lap of the gods. And having a jolly old time together. And Joy, Charlie, and I did Crime Fest Bristol not this year, obviously, but last year. And that was a lovely weekend too. And all three of us were on panels, and you sat there, one of four, and you're thinking, do these people really want to listen to me? What am I to say? But anyway, it all went down okay.
Have you been to any of the other crime festivals?
No, I haven't actually. Because I know there are ones to go about. But I haven't. I mean, when Crime Fest comes back, we'll probably do that one again. But no, because there's the Harrogate one, isn't there? I've never been to that one. That one sounds interesting.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's quite close to where I live.
Ah, right. Well, yeah. Oh, you're a Yorkshire lass. Are you there?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. So you're Yorkshire.
I am indeed, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just betwixt in between. A little bit further south than. Whereabouts in Yorkshire are you from, Caroline?
I'm not from Yorkshire. I live in Leeds.
Oh, right. Yeah. I came through Leeds at weekend on my way back from somewhere. We shouldn't have done, but we come off the motorway at Ferry Bridge and came back that way on the M62. Anyway, there we have it. Yeah. I'm not too far from Harrogate either, really, because I live Saddleworth, which is betwixt in between. It can't make its mind up what it's in,
Joy says the other authors love you too.
Oh, yeah, and I love them. You know who you are.
CG says, have you got a favourite book cover or a preference on colours?
Favourite one? I think probably the first one. I find that one, you probably won't be able to, I don't know if you able to see it, quite evocative. It's a park and a swing. I think something was found on a park. It might have been a body. I like that one. It was the very first one. And there's no people in it. It's just what it is. And I've always liked that one. I mean, there's been a plethora of red coats. I don't know every book cover seems to have had a red coat. And I've gone off red coat. In fact, I think I've got, oh yeah, there's one. The latest one's, you can't, there she is. You can just see she's got a red coat on. So I have actually said, no coats, please. I think red coats have been done to death. So everything that Rachel is in, she's wearing blue.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Charlie's wants to know if someone has ever upset you in real life and you've killed them in a book. Who and how did you kill them?
Oh, no, Charlie, I'm far too nice for anything like that. No, everything that goes in my books is imaginary. I wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't like to think that I could. Well, I know we all have people we dislike, but you just got to get over it, haven't you? Well, just him to ask that.
Be careful answering it. He's still a proper copper.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, I never thought of that. I just think of him as Charlie because he's very amusing, I like the video with the cat, Charlie, if you're there.
I think he is watching. One of the questions I like to ask is, would you make a graphic novel of one of your books?
I can't draw. Do you mean me personally? I'm not artistic at all. I'm all right with words, but I don't. I can see scenes. Do you know what I mean when I'm working things out? But it's more the words. I don't see things in pictures and scenes like that. So, you mean with like kapow and boom and no, I can't see me. I don't think my head don't work like that. And that's not how I see it.
Charlie says that you've just admitting to knowing how to make poison from household items, so you might be getting a visit.
Don't care. Oh dear, yeah, poison from household items. Yeah, apparently, if you use bleach in your toilet, you shouldn't use ordinary, toilet cleaner, the proprietary stuff that you buy, because it can cause an explosion. So somebody told me. Might have been one of my daughters. No, not the one that's on here at the moment.
I've lost my thread.
I'm sorry.
You got me thinking about explosions. How do you celebrate your launch days?
Well, it's varied. I usually go, well, hey, it's out. And perhaps have a glass of wine in the evening. I mean, to be honest, we usually know they're coming out because they've been on, I almost said right move then. That's not what I meant, Net Gallery. Think of them as being the same things. Don't ask me why. They've been on Net Gallery, so you know they're coming out. But I have to say, the last one, I don't know, the last one when it was launched, which one was that? Dead Wicked. I got sent a bottle of champagne.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I know, but I haven't drunk it yet. I think I'm saving it. But yeah, I was really surprised. It was lovely. So yeah, we and I just sit and watch it all day. Do you know what I mean? Obsessed with looking at where it's got to. Where's it got to now? I think we're all the same. I don't think there's anybody out there, a writer out there, that doesn't look what's happening to their books and all the rest of it. And we might go out for we used, you know what I mean? It's changed times, isn't it? And we're a little bit more in lockdown than perhaps other people are. Greater Manchester's and Oldham, it's coming for a bit of stick lately. So, but anyway, I'm saving up all my celebrating when it's all over, if it's ever all over.
Do you have like a launch in a bookstore or anything? Do you ever go to like your local stores and do signings?
No, I would do if they asked me. But so far, no. I have at the library, our local library. And Saddleworth had a literary event and I did some stuff there. I mean, I'm quite happy to do most things, but yeah, it all depends on being. I don't put myself around much, That's my problem. I mean, some people do. Some people seem to turn up at every single thing that's going on. You think, how did they get in there? But no, I'm just, whatever takes me fancy at the time of a mass. I do belong to a writing group. I've been going for quite a few years now, and as a group, we do things. So we're a mixed bunch of authors, published, unpublished, who are there to sort of support and help each other out. So we get stuff that we do together as a bunch, and that is all right. We end up in libraries as part of them.
Shelley says, if your books are ever televised, she demands a cameo.
Does she know? Yeah, actually, I've got a character in one of my books called Shezza. Yeah, if you've read any of them, Shelley, you'll know who she is.
Good way of saying she's read them.
I give her one. I always give her a copy when I get the hard copies through. I give both my daughters one each. I don't think they read them. I do wonder sometimes if they can read at all. I mean, I'm, most put out by it. And I don't think either of my older grandchildren have read them either. I mean, really, they should know better. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Joy
Yeah.
says she wants a cameo too, and Shelley says stop the Shezza.
Yeah. Who said they want a cameo too?
Joy did.
Oh, Joy can have a cameo.
Oh,
No
that's nice.
Yeah.
When you read, do you like to read crime?
Yeah, I do.
What are you, like go-to authors for you? Like your shut up money authors?
Well, I've read a lot of the Rebus books. Oh, and some of the authors. There's a book. There's an author called Tim Ellis. I don't know if you've read any of his book. I've read it. I've got a lot of his books. He's self-published. And I think I'm reading it again for the second time. That Tuesday Falling. I've just been reading that when I've been taking myself off to bed. So that I suppose they're a little off the. Do you know what I mean? I mean that Tuesday Falling was very popular in its time, and I quite liked the way it was written. It's the way things are written, the sort of punchy, boom, 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 short sentences, short paragraphs, perhaps even short chapters, and it's all there. There's not too much waffly description. It happens there, done. You know what I mean? I quite like that. If I don't read crime, I do quite like historical novels. So I've read Philippa Gregory. I quite like some of her, although I haven't read them recently. I've watched some of the stuff on telly, but I've not. That's about all I watch on telly is crime things. Yeah, I don't watch a lot of television apart from the news.
Fair enough.
So, you know.
Do you, with all this talk about cameos, have you ever cast in your head the TV adaptations of your books?
I can't. I have a vision in my head, and it doesn't fit anybody real, anyone that I can point to and say, yeah, he would be such a body. No, I can't sort of do that. I mean, I suppose I would if it happened, and but no, I've got a vision. I know what they look like inside my head, and it isn't anybody that I've seen on the telly or in real life under that.
Are there audio versions of your books?
Yeah, they're all the last three, Caledine and Baileys, are just in production. Apparently, the gentleman who narrates them was off until the 23rd of August, so he's back now, no doubt. So he's got three to catch up on. The latest Rachel King 4 is an Audible exclusive, so that came out about a week ago. So it'll be 4 months, you see, before Kindle get hold of that. So they've all come out on Kindle and paperback and been made into audiobooks, which is great. But this one, that's the audio exclusive, is my first flirt with that sort of setup, because I'm not sure what to think about it. Because people have been saying, I can't find it on Kindle. I said, no, either can I. And I'll need to read it before I write the notes.
Do you get to choose who reads the audiobooks?
No. Oh, I had a little bit of input with the no, not really. I looked them up, and so whoever's narrating Calada, he sounds a bit. I like him, but he sounds very broad, very broad, sort of Lancashire. I quite like him, but I look him up and see what he's been in. He's been in a bit of this and a bit of that on the telly, so I think I like that. He was very nice.
Because it's important, I think, if things are set in a region and that location's important, that the accents and things are right in the audio.
Yeah, I do too. It wouldn't do to have him with a posh accent, because that's not who he is. He's northern through and through. He was born and grew up and still lives in a terraced house in the village he was born in. So, that's the sort of what's got to come across. And That's how he is. I couldn't write anything that wasn't based around here, where I know. I'll occasionally divert somewhere I've been, that I do know that I have visited. But I can only do it. I can only set stuff around here.
Go on, sorry.
No, go on, Caroline.
Would you ever be tempted to write anything other than crime?
No, not really. I can't sort of get my head in that frame of mind. So no, that's it. I'm afraid I seem to be stuck in a rut.
I mean, I think it's a rut that lots of people seem to be enjoying. So it's one that we're stuck in.
Yeah, and me too. It's really added something extra to this whole idea of retirement. I don't know what I'd be doing if I wasn't doing this. There's just so much gardening you can do. There's just so much family history you can do before you hit a brick wall and all the rest of it. I quite like bird watching too, but I've photographed everything. I've a picture of that, I mean, so no. And it keeps your mind active and it keeps you thinking, and that's brilliant. Doesn't do a lot for me exercise wise, but I've got a bike somewhere, an exercise bike. I could never go out on the road on a bike. I'd fall off.
You're brilliant.
I can see a question here. Somebody asks, are you a people watcher?
Yeah.
And the answer to that is most definitely yes. I love youth. If you're out anywhere and you see these male youth misbehaving, they're absolutely fascinating. The way they're dressed, the language, there's a whole new sort of, well, new to me, certainly. And I'm thinking, I like that. Let him come in. Oh, dear.
So do people watch and get ideas for your books?
Yes. Particularly character ideas. You see what people get up to. Yeah.
Someone on here says that you people watch with your little notebook in hand.
Yeah, I do. Sometimes it's my mobile phone. I just go to the notes thing and just tap in a little note. Use that, Helen. I really must try and make better use of dictation. I've got a little app on my phone that allows me to dictate a note. I really should try it, but every time, in fact, I can speak into Word, but it always spells it wrong.
That's the thing of northern accents, actually, I think, often with dictation software.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've tried it several times and got very frustrated with it and thought, I'd be better off just using my keyboard. Yeah. I've not got very good eyes, you see. So I'm thinking, oh dear. Try harder, Helen.
Oh, look, my dad's turned up. Hi, Dad. He says
hi. Hi, David.
We've got 2 minutes left of our chat. Do you want to give us a reminder of your books?
Oh, God. Right, Dead Wrong, first one in the Paladine and Baylis. Dark Murder, Greco. His third victim, Matt Brindle, Rachel King. Can't remember what that one was called. And the latest one is called Dead Wicked. It's number 10 on the... No, that's Dead Wrong. I've got... You see, this is it. They're all... well, there we go.
Show for all of them. It doesn't matter.
No, there it is. So there we go from start to finish. Oh no, you can't see it for the light. We've got Dead Wrong at number 1, and then we've got Dead Wicked. The light, my light is. I've got my windows, my curtains. I haven't pulled them yet. Dead Wicked is number 10. So there's 10 in the Caledine and Baylis ones. They're all right. I like it. It's probably my favourite.
Just don't tell the others.
No, God, no, don't. Particularly not Rachel King. She'll throw up. No, she'll drop.
And then all that's left to say is it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Oh, thank you. It's been good to have enjoyed it. And it's nice to talk to you. You know, I see your face on the Facebook group and I think, what she's like. I've seen one or two of your interviews. It's fabulous actually meeting you. Yeah, thank you.
Lovely to meet you. You'll have to come back.
At any time, all you have to do is ask, love.